introduce our guest speaker, Dr. White. Excuse me, Dr. Tina White is an executive vision coach and the creator of the MAPP philosophy, a program designed to empower women to rediscover their vision, set meaningful goals, building lives that are magnificent, action-packed, purpose-driven, passion-filled. These are objectives that are central to MAPP coaching. In today's environment, many families are navigating significant challenges, as everybody knows here, including anxiety, discouragement, and depression, often linked to deeper questions of identity and purpose. From my experience, I believe most people here would agree with me that the women frequently play a pivotal role in fostering a connected, resilient, and thriving family, and they're the core of the family. Through thoughtful coaching, conversations, encouragements, and strategic guidance, women can experience a powerful shift, gaining clarity, confidence, and renewed directions. Please join me in welcoming author and speaker, Dr. Tina White.
Thank you so much, and thank you everybody for being here. I'm going to tell you, I know that we have a lot of amazing business builders. We have a lot of people here that are growing something new, and we have a lot of leaders who are leading people. And so for you guys to be here out of your busy day, that means a lot to me. When I was an educator for little kids, I always use stories, and they connect the meaning of whatever I was teaching. And it got to the point where my kids, if I started a lesson, they'd say, but wait, what's your story today? You know, because they said that helps us learn. So I want to start off by explaining how this topic, clarity to action, helped me in my life. When I first started my career, I started in teaching. First in a daycare, then later on, of course, in a private school, and then in charter schools. And so even 1 year at DISD. And so I love educating kids, but there was something missing. And so I was just so lost, and so I would start teaching somewhere, and I would stop teaching somewhere, and I would start, and even with everything else on my plate, my family and all that, there was just something missing, and I was frustrated. And so I eventually realized the piece that was missing was clarity. I was not totally clear on what I wanted. I hadn't sat down and talked, and there's tons of research now that talks about how you have to be clear, and you have to write out your goals, and you have to, but it's still, people may write out a goal, but it's so generic that we don't understand what we really want. And so that's why I wanted to do this topic. Because as business builders and leaders and growers of something great, we need to know exactly, specifically what we want in our lives, as well as our businesses. So you have on your table, you have a worksheet, and I'm gonna have you write things. When I say it's time for you to write, you're gonna write. I'll give you a couple minutes. And then your partner next to you, or three, if you have a few, you can talk to them. You're gonna talk to them about it. So get to know your partner, and if you don't know them already, and we will begin going from clarity to action. And there's a middle piece that we'll learn today that I was missing, because sometimes we have clarity and then we go to the action and there's something wrong. So we're going to talk about that today. So, most of us, and the people that I work with, they don't have problems with lacking effort. They get into something and they work hard, just like I did. I worked hard being a teacher, I worked hard getting all the training, I worked hard, but it's not that they're lazy. They're actually, there's that piece, that clarity piece that they're missing. So, the truth is, it's not that you're not working, it's that you need to work on your clarity. And so there are 3 things today, and this is the majority of what we're gonna talk about. Clarity to identity to action. If you do not identify, then the other 2 won't work either. So what we're gonna do is right now, you're going to look at section 1 of your worksheet, and I'm gonna give you a couple minutes to really think and then to write. And it says, what do you actually want? Be specific. What do you want your life to look like? Not just business, because some people aren't business builders, but maybe you work for somebody and your role in that company or in that school or wherever it is, you want something more out of it. Or maybe it's not fulfilling you, it's something totally different. So what is it out of your life and out of your career that you want? So I'm gonna give you a few minutes to write that down and then be ready to share it with your elbow partner, as we say in school.
I have a question.
Yes.
Should you narrow it down to one thing, or, because it could be like a professional area, I have a goal, then maybe
Right.
like business area, I also have a goal.
Right.
Should you focus on?
Absolutely. Be specific in one area, especially for this. to that stopping point, just turn to your neighbor and talk about what it is that you wrote. Just have a couple minutes.
Hello,
I didn't do my too broad. I did that first. And so she's thinking about the I said, meaningful relationships with the community, with your friends, neighbors, working for all aspects, career-wise, personal-wise. Oh, okay. I actually worked for local clothes store called Johnson. It was like a men's clothing, so like really tailoring working late I agree.
We got about a minute to
we wanted to bring back, something I had to talk to carry it with me on.
And even a different.
What you got?
So I work for another municipality in Kansas. Yeah, the city of El Dorado, which is small.
come together again.
Oh, really? Really?
I was born in Richmond.
Oh, you were? Okay.
Tina, you started.
Awesome, I started it.
That's a great thing.
It's a small
I
world.
love it. I'm listening to conversations, are great. Okay. So these conversations are amazing. I got to hear a lot of bits and pieces of conversation. You guys are amazing. So basically, we're looking at what we want, not what we think, what others think we want, but what we truly want. And also, when I think of clarity, the person that comes to mind for me is Steve Jobs. And I always like to give examples of people who have lived this. Okay, Steve Jobs, he was very clear from the very beginning of what he wanted. He wanted personal computers for every person in every home. And what an amazing thing that Apple Computers has done because of that vision. But he was very clear. It wasn't generic. It wasn't just something that might happen. He said, this is gonna happen, and it happened through him because of his clear vision. So, it's not about doing more. It's about being clear on what you're doing. Even if you have a clear goal and you go, wait a minute, I do need to do more. But you wouldn't have known that if you were not clear first. And that's what I did. I saw that I wasn't happy in this area, but what I really wanted to do was teach women. I wanted to lead women. I wanted to help them to grow. And so that's the course that my life took because I finally had that clear vision. Now, the second thing we talked about is identity. And I'm gonna tell you, this was a game changer for me. Coming from the background I did, not really knowing who I was or what, not really feeling like I had the capability of growing a business or a company or having the dreams that I have now. This was what really changed everything. And that is you have to become the person that does whatever you want to do. I had to become, if I want to have a $1 billion company, I have to become a $1 billion woman. If I want to be an author of many books that teach women, I have to become that author first. You don't do it after. You become that first person before. And so that is the big thing that changed my life in the last 2 years. I really didn't have, I mean, I kind of knew that, but in the last 2 years, the research on identity has exploded, and you have to become that person. And I think that person that amplifies that for me would be Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey came from nothing, a background quite like mine. And she was abused, and she lacked that identity to do what she did now. So what she had to do was she went to a small station. She wanted to be a communicator. She wanted to go and she wanted to bring people into communication and into interviews. And she did that first at a small station and then grew to what she's now. But she had to become the $1 billion Oprah Winfrey before she could actually achieve it. So, on your worksheet, I'm going to give you a couple minutes again. I want you to answer the questions here. It says, Section 2, identity. Who do you need to become to build that? Whatever it is you wrote above. How does this person think? How do they make decisions? What do they no longer tolerate? That's a huge one. Sometimes we tolerate things in our life, people in our life that are negative, that bring us down, that don't help us to achieve and be the person we need to be. What do they do consistently, even when they don't feel like it? Okay, so go ahead, I'll give you 2 minutes. want you to turn to your friend, and I want you to discuss what you guys wrote down as the person you need to become.
Conservative.
Yeah. Decisive, centered on others, and important relationships, kind of, you know, I don't feel like do it anyway,
I got the first grade, I was on the school. I was at a conference and never felt saw that place, of course.
And then, what do they do? They don't like that. So I saw a thing on Instagram, part of the community. They said, basically you have to do your part, and like, you sometimes don't necessarily feel like calling your friend. They don't feel like calling your relative, whatever. If you know that somebody's gonna make them feel better, that's what you should do. Even when you don't feel like it, sometimes it's gonna be the other way around, but they don't feel like it. You know, that's like,
We have one more minute.
that is really funny. See, was your grandpa so when I was working at the zoo there, we went to the festival and we had brought in a chart. She was taking hammocks and she was she came in and it was so funny because most of the artists that were brought in for those type of festivals, they just wanted to go to the hotel, go to the venue and leave. And then she was like, I'm going to see your oil museum. I'm like, I'm glad you took the mic. And I brought her there. Her grandma was worked at oil field in El Dorado. And apparently some machinery that he worked on was and she's like, I was so excited to come through our thing. And I was like, that is
Come back together. All right. So, some of you may look at that, look at what you want. Maybe look at who you are right now, or who you want to be, I should say. And you see a gap. There is no judgment in that. That's actually good, because that means you're ready to grow. And so, if you see that, I'm not gonna ask you guys to raise your hand if you saw a gap. If I write mine down, and everything I want and all my dreams and desires, there'd be this enormous gap, because I know that I'm still working on becoming that woman. So what we're going to do next is we're gonna go to action. Now, some people say, well, I have to be motivated, or I have to have the drive to do that, or the confidence. But what most people don't understand is that action comes before motivation. It comes before feeling like getting up and doing it. When my alarm goes off in the morning, I don't always feel like getting up and going and doing what I need to do. So I have to take action, and then my feelings catch up. And one of the people that I always think about is Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson, incredible basketball player. Talent, very, very talented, but his action showed more than even his talent. because they say that he would sometimes play basketball way into the night. It would be so dark and they would have no light that the only way he knew that the ball got into the basket was the swoosh when it hit the net. That was it. And he would do that over and over and over. Not that he always felt like it, but he did it because he knew he had clarity on who he wanted to be. And he had the identity of being a basketball player. And then his action came after his identity. And he began to do that constantly. But when we think of action, there's a word that goes along with it. Consistency. Aligned small actions over time are what get us to where we want to go. So you have the clarity, you know what you want. So if you know what you want, you know what you need to do. You have the identity, you know who you are and you know the person you're becoming. And you become the person before that comes along. But now you're taking aligned action consistently over time. And those little steps create this huge effect. So instead of having a small business, all of a sudden explodes into a big business. A+ Charter Schools is a huge example of that. We've watched it since it was in its infancy, before it even started. And little actions and desires have made it explode into what it is today. Huge charter school that's doing great things. So what I want you to do is I want you to go to section 3, and this is a big one. Now that you know what you want, and that little space for what you want, you know your clarity isn't big enough, so you're gonna have to go and write it on some bigger paper. Like, I have journals and journals and journals of who I wanna be. So then what you do is, now that you know who you need to be that person, now you're gonna write one aligned, and aligned means that it has to do with your clarity of vision and with your identity. So that action has to align with that. So you're just write one that you're gonna do in the next 24 hours. So I'm gonna give you 2 minutes to think and write. I want you again to turn to your neighbor and discuss that one action. You'll have accountability partner. They're gonna ask you later, did you get this done?
All the things that are in that person. remake, go back in. Yes.
Mine was just, my quality. But they may not.
Yeah. Do you live in Pleasant Grove or you live?
No, I'm in, Waffle.
Too far. What do you think, like, 20 minutes you get?
35 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, but and these kids are doing work on 30 across the lake. So trying to create a challenge and work.
I always think it's funny, so I used to live in Uptown, and I thought it was funny that, like, going to work, I can get there and stop for about 30 minutes. But coming back, it was only like 40 to 50 minutes.
Some more volume out there. Really working.
Where you're going, yeah. That was over in like 40 Antero area, and that stretch is, yeah, it's really bad.
So much growth out there. The infrastructure. Because we used to live, which is on the south side of Oklahoma. I'm glad I didn't do that.
Like now I live right here at Fruit. But I just get on the sign and take it all the way in. Oh. Where was that at? Is that kind of where like where the oh, okay. Because I was like, we would go to that World Trade Center for marketing. I had the Jolly underwear, socks, and accessories. So like a tie, like an undershirt. Ours, like, they like the jockeys. We had a lot of plus size.
All right,
Like
let's come back together.
So yeah, a lot of time over there.
All right. So most people will leave here and feel motivated, but the ones who truly put this into practice, they're the ones whose lives will really be changed. I promise. I'm living proof of that. So I was going to do a summary of a story for myself, but I decided to kind of show how this all works. I was going to use my son, and I usually always use my oldest son because all my kids embody this. Like my kids have been raised to do this, but I decided today to go with my youngest son, my youngest tuba player. But he actually has a goal, which a lot of people don't know, but he wants to own a car lot and he wants to own a garage, so fix cars and sell cars. But he wants to be the owner. So he has this clear goal and he can sit down and tell you exactly what he wants. He has actually the building where he wants it. And so he identifies as the owner of a garage and a car lot. He actually has gone and done research, and his action is that he is working on his business plan, and he's working on actually, figuring out how he can get the finances for this lot that he's found. So 16 years old. So if he can do it, we can do it, right?
Right.
So just think of each day I want you to think of what that goal is. And one of the biggest things I tell my clients is put your goal up there in front of you every single day. Whether I have one client and she has it on her mirror in her bathroom, she has it in her kitchen, on her refrigerator, she has it in her bedroom. It doesn't matter where she's at, she's always looking at that goal and she's always trying to embody that person. So it's MAPP coaching. I know nobody ever knows how to do this, but living a magnificent, action-packed, purpose-filled, and passion-filled life. That's what MAPP stands for. This is where you can contact me, so you can get on the QR code and you can contact me. It goes to my business card, which goes to my website. I also have MAPP Narrative Workbook for women, and it takes you through. You can do it on your own, or you can do it with coaching. And then of course, I have my children's book that is actually really personal development for children. And this is one in the series. I'm actually working on the second one. So my goal for you is to go and do that one action and make sure everything's aligned. So thank you so much for having me, Jennifer. You're awesome.
Thank you.
You are too.
Well, we need to make Dr. White read us his, is it time?
Yeah, you want to?
You want me to read it?
Go ahead.
Yes. All right, so I have to do mine because it says, what do you want to do? I want to be an international speaker and author. So the problem though is, so what I do, I want to travel to different countries and teach others how to grow. So, and I want to be financially free to do whatever I want to do and support all these great things that the community is doing, both here and other places. What do I have to do? I have to be intentional. I have to look for opportunities like this to stand in front of people and speak. That's why when you said, do you want to do it? I said yes. I need to think and make my decisions based on my future goals, not my current goals. I need to no longer tolerate negative thinking, setting limits, or wasting time.
Come on.
Yeah, see, there you go. What do they do even when they don't feel like it? They speak on every occasion, including this one. So thank you. When you asked, I had to say yes. So what do I need to do? I am an author, but I need to write. I wrote a dissertation and 5 people have read it. No, 100 people have read it, which is amazing, but I want to write something that doesn't put you to sleep. So my goal in the next 24 hours, I want to write for 30 minutes on this leadership book I've started, but I haven't been consistent on writing it. So that's my goal. I'm going to work toward my goals and take aligned action each day. And what did I get out of this? Mostly, you have to identify you have to have the identity of who you want to be. So when people say, who are you? I'm an international speaker and I'm an author.
Good.
So